Welcome back to the NRL Punters Weekly Digest, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know leading into this week's NRL matches. This is our round 16 team list / preview / whatever you want to call it edition of the NRL Punters Weekly Digest. And before we get into today's video, I'd like to unpack a couple of things. I'd like to acknowledge a couple of things. Firstly, yes, I am wearing a bathrobe. It's like 15 degrees Celsius in Queensland at the moment. Also, I'm working from home because of COVID. So, you know what? I'm like in my homie gear at the moment. I'm just chilling out. I'm relaxing. Also, I'd like to acknowledge how terrible the Queensland Maroons were on Sunday night. They were absolutely abysmal, embarrassing. Now, I know they only lost 26-0. And I'd predicted them to lose 34-6. But in that 34-6 loss, I expected more heart than I saw in this 26-0 loss. Where was the heart? There was no heart. There was no heart at all. We saw glimpses of heart for the first 15 minutes or so, where the forwards pretended like they were really going to bring it to the Blues. But then it all collapsed. There was no direction from the halves. According to Cameron Munster, he was calling plays and his teammates weren't doing the things they're supposed to do within the play. They were just ignoring him or not hearing it. Daly Cherry Evans, your time has come. You've been a faithful servant to Queensland and Australia, but I honestly think your time is up. And it's just a matter of time before Sam Walker fills those shoes. And good riddance. Honestly, good riddance. I felt that Ben Hunt made a really good account of himself when he came into the game, but it was just too little too late, and we just couldn't convert on the opportunities that New South Wales could. We could have been in that game. We weren't. Anyway, I'm not going to ramble too much more on it, but I may do at some point in the near future. I just feel like I've done too many State of Origin videos. I want to diversify a little bit. We don't always need to be talking about State of Origin. I know there's always so much to talk about at State of Origin time. There are so many different narratives happening. Not to mention the eligibility crisis that we saw on the eve of Origin 2 with Ronaldo Mulitalo, but anyway, let's move on. Let's get into this week's video, starting with the Thursday night clash where the Roosters take on the Storm from McDonald Nuggies Stadium in Newcastle. Because COVID's happening all over Australia, so we're moving games to places where they wouldn't ordinarily be played. So weird that this game is being played in Newcastle. Anyway, let's have a look at the team list. Sam Walker returns at halfback. Lachlan Lamb is at 5'8". Manu Joseph is in the centres. Suwali moves to the reserves. Tupanua returns to the back row, which sees Baker back at the bench. For the Storm, Jesse Bromwich returns at prop. Cami Kamitha drops to the bench and Asofa Solomona is out suspended. Booth replaces the injured Harry Grant on the bench. Canny Bromwich also returns in the back row with Tom Eisenhuth out injured. And Marion Seve and new signing Tepe Maroa, who we haven't seen in the NRL for a few years now. Obviously, he left Parramatta and went to Rugby Union. They are in the reserves. In the head-to-head market, you will get $3.30 for the Sydney Roosters, which I think are fantastic odds. And you'll get $1.32 for the Storm. My tip in this game is the Roosters by 2. And I think if you're thinking about having a bit of a flutter this week, if you're not going to go on that head-to-head for the Roosters, maybe put that in a multi because there's some juicy odds there. Friday night, the Warriors take on the St. George Illawarra Dragons from Central Coast Stadium, which is the traditional home of the New Zealand Warriors in Australia. For the Warriors, too many changes to name, so please refer to the team list. For the Dragons, Matt Duffy is back at fullback, with Tyrrell Sloan dropping out of the 21. Michaeli Ravalawa is out suspended. Jack Byrne returns to the back line, and Gerald Beale moves to the wing. Kerr starts in the second row with Paul Vaughan at prop, whilst long-term suspensions for Josh Maguire, and Tyrrell Fuimaono Suspended players Josh Maguire and Tyrrell Fuimaono return from suspension via the interchange bench. Head-to-head market here, you'll get $1.70 for the Warriors, $2.15 for the Dragons. I just think the Warriors are going to be too good. At home, I've got them winning by 4. Panthers Eels for Bluebet Stadium. This is going to be a crackerjack game. I'm saying that this is the game of the round, and I honestly see an upset in this game. For the Panthers, Nathan Cleary is out with a shoulder injury. I read an article earlier today that suggested that he may potentially be out for the season. Mark my words now. Mark my words now. I told you this on July the 29th, 2021. This episode will air tomorrow on the 30th of June, 2021. Mark my words, if Nathan Cleary is out injured for the season, you can put a red line through the Penrith Panthers. They will not win the competition. They will not win the competition. And they will not win the competition because they have not had to play with enough adversity without their mates in the side, and I feel like they're not going to know what to do. Sure, they put Matt Burton into the halves. They've still got an outstanding team, 1-17. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think they win the comp. They lose so much with Nathan Cleary. Do not underestimate the Nathan Cleary factor because there are so many brilliant players around him. They will not win the comp. He's out. Matt Burton moves to 5'8" because, of course, with Luai playing halfback. Tyrone May moves into the centres. Staines moves to fullback with Dylan Edwards out, which sees Brent Naden make his first appearance of 2021 on the wing. Good on him because Brent Naden is a better player than not being in this side, but let's be honest. I mean, the side is just brimmed with talent. Like, who are you gonna boot for him? I guess it makes sense. But good to see him in the 17. Kickout returns in the back row, and Liam Martin is on the bench. Lanier drops out of the 17. For the Eels, Micah Sevo returns from suspension, with debutant Sean Russell relegated to the reserves. Roach and Hipgrave are out of the squad, with Kafusi and Cartwright named on the bench. Head-to-head market, you'll get $1.50 for the Penny Panthers and $2.55 for the Blue and Golds. I'm actually tipping the Eels to upset here by 1 point. 1 point. And I will be vindicated when the Eels win, and it was because Nathan Cleary wasn't there. And they look like a different side. Saturday, Doggies, Seagulls from Bankwest Stadium at 3 p.m. Kind of where they're supposed to be at, I guess. Yeah. So there was no crazy relocation for this game here. For the Bulldogs, too many changes to name, so please refer to the team list. And for the Seagulls, there was no changes for the 1-17 from the team that played in the last round, which was round 15. Head-to-head market, $7 for the Bulldogs. They're no chance. They're no chance. They're great odds, but they're no chance. And $1.09 for the Seagulls. My tip is the Seagulls to win by 18 points. It could be a lot more than that. I'm showing a bit of respect to the Dogs here. Raiders, Titans. 5:30 p.m. from GIO Stadium, Saturday evening. This is a game that is so important for both of these sides. They're kind of sitting around the same part of the ladder. Raiders are 10th, I think. Titans are like maybe 12th or 13th, something like that. Both of these sides need to win this game. For the Raiders, huge return, huge inclusion. Jared Croker returns to the centres, Captain Courageous. We've been missing that leadership. We haven't really, I guess, we haven't missed Jared positionally because I think Matt Tomoko, who came in for him, did a really, really good job. I'm a little bit upset to not see him in the 17 this week, to be honest. But it's what happens, when your frontline guys come back into the side, the young guys got to drop back to reserve. That's usually just how it happens. But Tomoko will be back. All right. Sutton and Soliola swap back to lock and bench respectively. For the Titans, too many changes to name, so please refer to the team list. In the head-to-head market, $1.40 for the Raiders, $2.90 for the Titans. I kind of feel like these odds should be a little bit closer. I mean, I would pay a lot more respect to the Titans than $2.90. I'd probably have them at about, I don't know, give them $2.20. But they're good odds. If you think the Titans can pull up an upset, and I think they definitely can, $2.90 are fantastic odds. I think that, unfortunately, the return of Jared Croker is just going to have the Raiders jovial, and they're going to win this one by 6 points. Knights, Cowboys, again from McDonald Nuggies Stadium, down there in the Hunter, hosting their second game of the round. Knights, Cowboys. For the Knights, Ponga has been named to return from injury, but that's been kind of what's been happening the past few weeks, and then he is withdrawn midweek. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see whether or not he plays. Kurt Mann moves to the centres. Jones is back to the bench, and Jack Johns to the reserves. For the Cowboys, no changes from last round's side. In the head-to-head market, you'll get $1.53 for the Knights and $2.45 for the Cowboys. I'm tipping the Knights to win this one by 2 points. Although, if Ponga doesn't play, I think they'll lose. But I've got to stick to my tip, right? But just know that I said, if Ponga doesn't play, they lose. All right. Sunday, July the 4th, Brisbane Broncos play the Cronulla Sharks from Suncorp Stadium. And I'm actually going to this game. I actually got a free corporate pass from my employer. So thank you very much to loans.com.au for that one. I'm not going to tag you in this video, but thank you so much. Great organisation to work for. Great sponsors for the Brisbane Broncos. And anytime I've been to a Broncos event, which has kind of been, I guess, like sponsored by my company, I don't know how it works, but the Broncos have always been really hospitable. The players have been, great ambassadors of the club. I'm a Raiders fan, but I've got so much respect for the Brisbane Broncos, and thank you so much for always being welcoming to me and my work colleagues. Anyway, let's get to the team list. Enough of that. Enough brown nosing from me. Loans.com.au. If you're looking for a car loan or a home loan, www.loans.com.au. They've got fantastic rates. And if you're looking for a car loan, you may speak to me. All right, Broncos. Too many changes to name. There's like 1 million changes this week. Please refer to the team list. For the Sharks, no changes from the side that they fielded last round, round 15. Head-to-head market, you get $2.90 for the Broncos, $1.40 for the Sharks. I'm tipping the Broncos to win this one by 6 points. I like the changes they've made to their side. I like Tessie New there at fullback, and I think they're just going to turn it on this week. I think they're due for a win. Last game of the round sees the Tigers take on the Rabbitohs from Leichhardt Oval, which is the spiritual home of the Tigers, the Balmain Tigers. Not Western Suburbs Magpies, but the Balmain Tigers. Leichhardt, very nice area. Very nice area. I ate pizza there once. It was great pizza. Of course, Italian, You'd expect it to be good, right? If it's not, then it's disappointing. Anyway, enough rambling from me. Team changes for the Tigers. Adam Dewey replaces Tommy Talau in the centres. Seafar starts at lock with Offahengawi benched. McKaylee replaces Tom Amone on the bench with McKaylee being relegated to the reserves. Sorry, I lost my words there. For the Rabbitohs, Benji Marshall returns via the bench after missing last round due to the birth of his child. Congratulations, Benji. You're a bloody legend. Tafe drops out of the 17. Sele starts for Totola at prop. And Liam Knight joins the bench. Monga and Mago appear. It's so funny to see those two names next to each other. Monga and Mago appear on an extended reserve list as the Rabbitohs had a contingency of 5 in Origin 2. In the head-to-head market here, you'll get $6.50 for the Tigers, and you should not back the West Tigers this week. They have had some great performances this year, which has kind of made you think, okay, well, they're kind of on the up and up here. If they can play like this consistently, they can start to fulfill some promise here, but they're just too inconsistent. Don't back them. $1.10 for the Bunnies. They're going to put them to the sword. I've said the Bunnies are going to win this one by 20 points. And that's all I got for you this week. If you like this video, please give me a like. It helps me rank up in the algorithm and the ranking system, which I'm still struggling to understand. If you know how it works, let me know, please. Maybe then I can kind of help kind of spread the reach of my content, and get some more views and some more subscribers, all that sort of stuff. And if you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, I would ask why you haven't. I think I give you some pretty decent content, and it's for free. You don't have to pay for it. You just have to give up a little bit of your time. But look, if you haven't subscribed yet, please smash that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you can stay in the loop of all my future content. I'll see you next week.